Welcome back to Black and Classic Podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Monet, where we talk all things politics and pop culture. A lot has happened this week. I feel like politics was kind of dead and then they just ramped up, okay? So much is happening. Elon and Trump, they're falling out. Their bromance has ended. Then we have Trump barring people from visiting countries, then people coming here. We also have this situation with I guess, illegal immigrants being deported and then being brought back. So much is happening, but we're going to get all into it. Stay tuned.
Blackness, that black power, that black pushing them to identify with black culture. I think that's what you're asking. I have no.
Thank you guys so much for commenting, sharing, liking all of the content that's shared across all platforms. That goes for Twitter. Not Twitter, sorry. That goes for TikTok. Twitter's on the brain because we're going to get to it. That goes for TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I appreciate it. YouTube, of course. So let's just jump into our recap. So last week we talked about what was going on, especially in Connecticut as it goes to this housing issue. And Daniel Anderson, 3286, said, strange that you mention block of fleets. There are loads springing up all over the place. Manweller1 also commented and said, same over here in the UK. Shout out to you for watching from the UK. That's really great. Really appreciate that. And yes, I don't know what it is, but it's like everyone is obsessed with apartments. I feel like, can we get some townhouses or something? But everyone obsessed with apartments. They're going up very, very fast. That's also very scary. But yeah, I don't know. It's affordability to me. I don't think it has anything to do with people not wanting to buy houses. I just think it's affordability. The next thing I wanted to speak about and also play for you guys, I had mentioned in the last episode about Diddy's RICO, right? Where is the RICO? Where's the RICO? Where's the RICO? People ate me up. Clearly, someone also commented and said I had the devil in me because I couldn't see where the RICO was. And I just don't think prosecution is doing a great job of connecting the dots. They're just missing it. I think they want to drive home the point that Diddy is freaky, but they're not selling us on the charges and what is criminal about this. It's more so like, let's shame and embarrass him as opposed to showing us where the criminal charges are. So with that being said, I'm just going to play this clip by attorney Simone Redwine. I told you guys to follow her. She does great breakdowns. And yeah, she basically explains Diddy's RICO.
Many people are asking, where's the RICO? I'm your legal bestie, attorney Simone. I break down celebrity cases on social media. Here's what has to be shown. Number one, that there's an enterprise. Number two, that there's an agreement within the enterprise to operate for a common goal, and that there's a pattern of racketeering activity. First, we know there's an enterprise. It's literally called Sean Combs Enterprises. But the question is, are they agreeing to commit crime? Secondly, the agreed upon goal. The prosecution is trying to show that these things were done at Diddy's instruction or with Diddy's consent in order to keep Diddy happy. That is a sufficient agreed upon goal for the enterprise. And third, and this is the part that most people are like, what the hey, we haven't seen anything here, is the pattern of racketeering activity. All they have to do is show two of these eight, from kidnapping, arson, bribery, tampering with a witness, forced labor, trafficking, transporting prostitutes across state lines, and possession with intent to distribute or distribution of narcotics or controlled substances. Here are some of the offenses the prosecution has already provided evidence of. Number one, bribery. That was on day one. The hotel worker stated that Diddy offered him money to make this go away. Now, he didn't take it, but that doesn't matter. Bribery is the ask. It has nothing to do with the taking. Furthermore, the hotel actually did accept $100,000 to make the take go away, so that's sufficient proof of bribery. Number two, tampering with a witness. When they paid off the hotel workers and told them not to speak, that was tampering with witnesses. Those were witnesses that could have confirmed the abuse. In addition, this was done for the purpose of protecting Diddy's brand. If that video had gotten out in 2016, he would have been dropped by all the different brands and all his sponsorships. So that's two right there. Bribery, tampering with witness. The transportation of prostitutes across state lines. Now, prostitution's super easy to prove. All they have to show is that it took place in two different states. Two male hookers have already taken the stand and talked about the various cities where they were paid to have sex with Cassie. There's also been evidence presented of Distribution of narcotics and controlled substances. Different assistants of Diddy talked about being instructed to obtain or even to pick up controlled substances for Diddy. In fact, one of them actually testified under immunity. So far there's been evidence of distribution of narcotics, tampering with witnesses, bribery, and prostitution across state lines. Now, what we still haven't seen proof of yet is the kidnapping charge. We are still yet to see info on, but we've seen a bit about forced labor. What we're likely going to see in the future is testimony that musicians were encouraged to take drugs in order to be able to stay up late and work all night. There's also been some proof of arson, although we're expecting to see something more concrete that might pin Diddy down for that arson. And of course, there is trafficking allegations. Now, RICO can be proven without proof of any sex trafficking. Let me know your questions down below. I'm your legal bestie, Attorney Simone. Follow me on YouTube at Girl, Is That Legal?
All right, so in that clip, you definitely got to hear from an attorney herself what the RICO is and how the prosecution is trying to get it done. It definitely was helpful. I think her breakdowns and how she discusses the case right now, she's in New York actually attending the trial. So it's definitely something where I'm getting firsthand knowledge and actual knowledge that is based in something. Because a lot of times people have opinions and it's simply just an opinion. It's not anything that's rooted in substance. It's just, oh, well, this is my opinion. That's what I feel. I don't want to come from a place of like trying to give my opinion. I want to know the facts, because if you're telling me we need to vilify this person and put this person in jail, give me the facts, not your opinion on him being freaky and him being nasty. Give me the facts. So I just felt that was something that, I wanted to share because I keep screaming, where's the RICO? And yeah, she's helping me to understand where it is, although I do feel, and she mentions it a lot in her videos, especially now that she's attending trial, that the prosecution, they're missing the mark a little bit, and they're leaving the door open for defense to come in and say, yeah, but, and if you're on the jury, you don't need a yeah, but, because again, we're looking to convict someone beyond a shadow of a doubt, and you can't do that if you leave the door open, okay? So let's jump into local news. Now, I keep speaking about this housing crisis because it's just simply not going away in the state of Connecticut. So now the state of Connecticut has this new state-funded program, and this program is supposed to help people in Connecticut, be able to build homes, create homes, have the funding, bridge them with, developers and things like that. And I think that's great. However, as I was reading it, the requirements kind of threw me off. It gave very much gentrification. Not that it was like a bad thing, but the requirement for the housing projects is that it must be within a mile of a train station or within a downtown area. Not every town has a downtown area. The most you might get is like a block of a Dunkin', a CVS, maybe a Walgreens, and like a Family Dollar. And that's their downtown. So I think that's a little bit unfair to say that they need an established downtown, because not a lot of towns have a downtown area. A lot of towns are trying to build up their downtown area, but the only way to do that is to get people to come in and spend taxes there and, shop and live in that community, in that town, to then in order put, money back into the town. But they can't do that if they don't have the housing available. So it's kind of like a cycle that really isn't going to help people. A lot of towns don't have access to train stations. So to say it needs to be within a mile of a train station sounds like you're just talking about bigger cities and not towns where people most likely want to live. And then they said that this would really be for, shocker, large apartment buildings. And they hope that this program would have a trickle-down effect onto residential areas. But really it's for like large apartment buildings, duplexes, things like that, not for single residential housing. I don't know. I just think it's kind of crazy that you're like, yep, we'll come to your town. We'll help you with funding. We'll help you get in touch with developers, but you need to have a train station in your town. And it also needs to be in the downtown area. And then we'll put up this complex or this large luxury building. And it's funny because when I look at different towns, I'm like, oh, okay. And I don't want to start listing them off, but there are towns that if you pay attention, especially if you live in Connecticut and you start seeing these luxury apartment buildings going up in these smaller towns, and then you're like, oh yeah, but that town has X, Y, and Z. Starts to make sense. It starts to make sense. So I don't know. That was interesting to me. This next one, y'all, I don't know why people don't have a fear of being on the no-fly list. I have a huge fear of being on the no-fly list. I don't ever want to be placed on the no-fly list, but it just seems as though people have no care in the world. So recently, a man was arrested off of a flight leaving Bradley, which is in Connecticut, Bradley Airport. He was arrested off of a flight that was Chicago bound because he got on there, started taking his clothes off. He was screaming, "Help me." He attacked a flight attendant. Tried to drag this flight attendant down the aisle. The other passengers intervened, and he was like screaming at the flight attendant saying, "You're coming with me. You're coming with me." And yeah, at that point, I had to break out the legal pad for this one because so much was happening this week. At that point, the pilot declared an emergency and said, okay, you know what? We're headed back to Bradley. Like, we need to get this person off of this flight. So they went back to Bradley, and later that passenger who was acting, belligerent, was arrested. But it's shocking to me because why do people not fear the no-fly list? I feel like every so often there's a story of something taking place on a flight, and I'm just like, so you have no care about them saying you'll never be able to fly again. And not like you won't be able to fly with just this airline. Like, you cannot enter an airport anywhere and get on a plane. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I hate driving. I like driving, but there's a limit. After 4 hours, plane me, please. After 4 hours, just go ahead and put me on a plane. I don't want to drive that long. I get car sick. I can't read in the car. It's really uncomfortable. Like, I can fall asleep in the car, but it won't be comfortable. Just put me on a plane. Let me, take a little cute cat nap and wake up to my destination. That's it. That's all I need. Trains are cool. I've never been on a boat because I get car sick, so I could just imagine what it's like being on a boat. But I just struggle with people not caring about being on a no-fly list. Now, I don't know what this person was dealing with. I don't know if they had, clearly, it seems like they might have had some mental issues, but I just struggle with being like, yeah, let me go and act a fool on this airline with the potential of never being able to fly again. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it's also scary because it seems like every time, there's a story about someone going crazy, I'm like, I hope when I get on the fly, everything be copacetic. I just need it to be copacetic. Do y'all remember that one time where I think a passenger had like the bubble guts or something, and it was just, I don't know if that was real or not. I did see the stories. I felt like I seen a video and they just like let loose down the aisle. Oh my God. See what I'm saying? Like, there are just certain things that I'm just like, I'm so happy I have not had to deal with a crazy flight. Not to mention, first of all, in the comments, drop your crazy flight stories because I'm blessed to not have had to deal with anything crazy. This wasn't crazy, but it was obnoxious. So I think that these people were either like held up on the tarmac or something like that. And this little girl got up. I don't know who volunteered her. I don't know why they thought this made sense, but this little girl got up on the intercom system, I guess. I guess that's the best way to describe it, right? And she started singing, I think it was Frozen or something, but she was singing and the whole plane is hearing her. And when I saw one clip, I said, okay, this might be like a skit or I don't know. It just didn't feel real until I started seeing other point of views from people on that same flight. And I was like, oh, you're really telling me this little blonde girl got up here and sang a full acoustic version of some Frozen Disney song. But first of all, baby girl couldn't sing. She could not sing. It wasn't like she could sing and it just was like, oh, okay, she's singing, but at least it sounds good. Like, she could not sing. So now we have to suffer through this. To me, that is so, I don't want to say disrespectful, inconsiderate. It's very inconsiderate to other passengers to be like, I find this cute, so now everyone else has to suffer the way. And people, if you know me, you know, I'm very like, I'm not going to be loud about my being annoyed, but I am going to make it known. So I would have been the passenger that would have sat like this. Because at no point did it ever make sense for y'all to have that little girl get up there and start singing. And I don't care who felt a way about it. Everyone else can probably chuckle and laugh and like roll their eyes. No. Yeah, no, I'm hitting one of those because what is actually going on? What is actually going on? Okay? Have her sit by somebody and sing if that's what she want to do. But to force the whole plane to listen to it is just diabolical. And I would have lost it. I truly would have lost it. Not to mention, I hate people singing acoustic anyway. I don't care if you can sing great, beautiful, amazing. Put a beat behind that. I don't want to hear that. I'm so sorry. I don't want to hear no type of acoustic, acapella, nothing. Zip it. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was just so funny to me. When I seen it, I was like, oh, they had the right people on that plane, because I would have been heated. Okay. Heated. Next up in local news, this happened in Connecticut and it had me furious. If I had the time, and I don't want to say like I don't have the time, but if I really had the time, I feel like I would be a part of like an educators, teachers, activist group, right? Like, there's so many causes that people want to fight for, and no one fights for the teachers but the teachers. Everyone at some point is either going to have a kid, going to know a kid, going to experience a child, and that child has to go to school. And the way this country treats its, I was going to say teach its, right? But hold on, let me get the words. That is a tongue twister. Treats its teachers is so sick, and it's so bad. We already have, Linda McMahon heading up Department of Education, which I totally don't understand. I think, she was just a donor who needed a position, and Trump was like, hey, I got this one for you. And she took it. But they just treat them so bad. So in Connecticut, educators were arrested during a protest at the state capitol. So what they did is they basically went and they stood in front of Governor Ned Lamont's office, and they just stood there basically until their, point was made and their demands were heard. I don't think he was there at the time, but, all of the police officers who are stationed at the state capitol basically were like, look, you gotta, leave. And if you don't, you're going to be arrested. And they stood 10 toes down, did not leave. And they were arrested. It was 10 of them that were arrested. And they were out there. And I think I spoke about this when I mentioned their meaning the government's state budget. And yeah, they wanted them to focus, educators want them to focus on, spending for kids with special needs. I think it was also, I forgot, it was a few different things. I definitely know kids with special needs. And I don't know, I just don't feel teachers are being heard. When I'm online, it's like back to school time, and you're on your Instagram, you're on your TikTok, and like teachers have to create Amazon wish lists to get items. Teachers are paying so much money already on a little to none salary for their own school supplies. And school supplies meaning like books, not school supplies like they want creative pencils and highlighters. No. Like the actual materials they need to teach, they have to spend their money on. And it's just beyond me. So they're spending their money on the materials they actually need to teach. So then those extra materials, that's what's on their wish list, right? They need new markers for the classroom. They need new, pencils and all these different things. Then they're making these wish lists and, going to TikTok, going to Instagram to create a fan base, if you will, right? To have people buy these items. That is so sad. And then y'all wonder why I always say the kids be dumb. The kids be dumb because the educators aren't paid enough. They're exhausted. Your children are bad. Let's just put that out there on Front Street. The kids are bad. They don't know how to behave. Parents don't want to parent anymore. What they want to do is be these kids' friend, let the internet raise them. They send them off to school. God forbid a teacher has to correct the child's behavior. Then the parent wants to run up to the school and act like their child is just a saint and have no idea why the teacher would want to discipline their child. It's crazy. And then at the end of the day, they aren't paid enough. Teachers are not paid enough for this. I made this a point of this in another episode where a teacher wanted to do OnlyFans. Another teacher was trying to become a rapper, and they were trying to get rid of these women and fire these women. I'm like, well, hey, if you paid them, maybe they wouldn't have to pick up these side gigs. Maybe they wouldn't have to try to, do something strange for a little piece of change to supplement the income that they're not getting from their primary job. I don't know. Seems like a logical thing, right? Like, pay the teachers. Pay the teachers. To me, a teacher's salary should be up there with doctors, with lawyers, and, nurses and things like that, because they are just as important. They are just as important, if not more important, because who gets the doctor to be the doctor? A teacher. Someone had to teach them what they know. Hello. But yet y'all want to pay them $45,000 a year. Excuse me? You want me to teach them bad little kids that be showing up to school with guns and making bomb threats and knives and all this, that, and the third for $45,000, for $40,000? Maybe if you're lucky, you might get a little $60,000 out of them, but that's what you want them to deal with? Then on top of that, I have to now spend my money on supplies. Come on, bro. Pay the teachers. Pay them what they're worth. Value the teachers. You wonder why we don't compare to a lot of these other countries, why we don't compare to India, why we don't compare to, a lot of Asian countries, really, Japan, China, Korea. Like, why we don't compare? It's because y'all don't pay the teachers. I don't value the teachers. I don't value schools. These schools be broke down, busted, dusty, and crusty. You ever went into a school broke down, busted, dusty, crusty? You be like, wow. Like, and then they be worried about upgrading other stuff. They want to upgrade everything but the school. Everything but the school. It really doesn't make sense. I don't know how people aren't outraged. I don't get it. I don't get how people aren't outraged. And it's because people don't value education anymore. They don't value education anymore. So there is no value on a teacher. And it's very sad because the kids just get dumber and dumber. They just get dumber and dumber. I hate to say it again. I watch a lot of TikTok. I do. I'm sorry. Sue me. But people always laugh when, some people, they just walk around, they ask people random things, or, they quiz them. And a lot of it is sometimes spelling words. It's simple words. The people can't spell them. Simple words. Can't spell them. And that's why, not for nothing, I do tell people, okay, if I'm talking to younger people, even older people, I tell them, try not to, when you're texting, spell words with like abbreviations or like in slang or anything like that. Try not to do that in your text messages. Not too much with grammar, because let me tell you, I am not the grammar police. I couldn't tell you where a semicolon goes and all this other stuff. I don't got time for all of that, okay? But what I can tell you is that you need to spell your words out fully and correctly. The red squiggly line, it's there for a reason. Don't ignore it. Do not ignore it. The least you can do, if you don't care about education, the least you can do is acknowledge that red squiggly line and correct the word. And if you don't know, just hit up Siri and say, hey Siri, how do I say, or I'm not, how do I say, hey Siri, how do I spell? Give her the word. If you know how to pronounce it, she'll give you the spelling back. Simple. It's just that simple. Spell your words out. When I'm talking to my little cousins and they're sending me text messages, hey, spell that word all the way out. Don't spell it like that. Because what happens as someone who works in HR, as a very dignified HR professional, when I'm looking at applications and y'all got all these abbreviated words on here, it looks crazy. Not gonna lie to you. Okay, it looks crazy. When y'all put BCUZ on your application, yeah, baby, it looks crazy. When y'all put B/C, like because, it looks crazy. When y'all put through as THRU or THREW, it looks crazy. So what I advise is don't ignore the red squiggly line. Spell your words out. And pay them teachers. The educators need to be paid. They need to be paid because the children are getting dumber and dumber, and it is so sad. I hate it for you, and I hate it for me because we can't do anything in a society if all our children and our adults, because yes, children do grow up to be adults, are dumb. We can't do anything. Pay the teachers, period. And now with that being said, we're going to jump into headlines because let me tell you, so much has happened, okay? So much has happened. Last week I was gone because nothing happened. And it's so hard to sit down and bullshit and just like try to talk yourself through topics when you know nothing has happened. I'm not going to make y'all do that, and I'm not going to do that. I hate that for me, okay? So if I like dip out for just like an episode, it's more than likely because nothing happened. And I'm just not going to fake the funk, okay? Nothing happened. I'll catch y'all next week. But this week, oh yeah, it got interesting. So first up, we have President Trump and his recent pardons. I did want to talk about this last week, but I was like, it's not that interesting. Let's see what else develops, right? So first off, we had Larry Hoover. He was the former leader of the Gangster Disciples in Chicago, and his federal sentence was commuted because a lot of people are like, oh, he's coming home, he's coming home. I guess it depends on what you mean by coming home, but his federal sentence was commuted by President Trump. He still is looking at serving 100 years for his state charges, and that's out of the state of Illinois. So those, the presidency clemency, it can't erase, it can't touch. That's that. And I know people are saying he's coming home, so maybe they mean, because there is now this possibility of him being moved out of Supermax, which is in Colorado, and maybe now he can be closer to home in Chicago, but he's not coming home as far as like he's good, all his charges were, dropped and he's home. That's not the case. Just his federal charges were commuted. Next up, and let me tell you, there's a theme, but we'll touch on a theme after. Just listen for it. So next up, Michael G. Grimm. He was a former New York representative. He pleaded guilty to tax evasion in 2014. Now, he was pardoned by Trump. Julie and Todd Chrisley, they were pardoned by Trump, and they did come home immediately, right? So they just came home. And because, again, federal charges, right? So they were pardoned because they were evading taxes and defrauding banks of more than $30 million. Crazy. Let me pause right there. When people do stuff like that, it's almost like, what do they call it? Like a white collar crime? People tend to look over that, but let you sell drugs. All of a sudden, you're the worst human being on the planet, right? You are the scum of the earth, but defraud a bank for more than 30 million and well, shit happens. And well, I digress. Kentrell Galden, aka NBA Youngboy, he was pardoned. He pleaded guilty to possessing weapons as a felon. I have no thoughts on that because simply, what's the saying? A tiger can't change its stripes or something like that. You know, same thing with Julian Todd Chrisley. You know, sometimes you get wiser in prison and you just come out and do the same thing over and over again. But this time, you know how not to get caught. So there's that. And then lastly, we have Michael Harris. He was one of the co-founders of Death Row Records. He was serving 33 years for conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree. Why was he pardoned? I don't know. I can tell you for sure a few of these other people, common theme, tax evasion, defrauding banks, white collar crimes. A lot of these people were big, or people around them were big supporters of Trump during his campaign, especially like Julian Todd Chrisley, their daughter, beautiful girl. She has a podcast, beautiful girl. She held a dinner in, honor of Trump's campaign where each plate was $1 million. So to just go to the dinner and sit down and have, $1 million. So they were raising money for Trump's campaign. Shocker, now that he's in office, her parents are pardoned, but I won't say that's favor for a favor or nothing like that, but that is what happened. So, and then not to mention, oh my God, I don't know how I could have just jumped by that. Speaking of Julie and Todd Chrisley, their daughter, you know what? I got a computer right here. Let me get her name because I seen a clip, which trust me, I didn't think, was helpful in any way, but their daughter, right? She then made a video discussing Tory Lanez's case and being like, oh, Savannah. Is it Savannah? Hold on. I gotta see her face up close because this haircut don't look right. Oh yeah, I didn't know she had that haircut. That's not cute. Yes, Savannah Faith Chrisley. So Savannah made a video discussing Tory Lanez's charges and being like, oh, this seems like an injustice. This seems wrong. And it's just kind of shocking that right after her parents get pardoned, she speaks on Tory Lanez's case, just following a week or two of him having this stuff come out, him being stabbed, and now she's looking into the case. I don't love it. It just seems like, do I believe Tory shot Megan? I don't. Do I believe he's doing just a little too much right now? Yes. You should have I think because the first two things didn't drum up enough support and enough enough attention to really get him out or to reopen the trial or get him an appeal or whatever, then they're like, oh, well, Savannah just did that, so let's reach out to her. Let's see what she can do. And it's like, listen, Tory, at some point, babes, you got to stick with one thing, stand on your truth and see it through. If you got to do the full however many years with one person backing you and speaking your truth, then let that be it. But throwing everything at the wall and contacting everybody under the sun is just like enough, I'm sure he's contacted Kim. And Kim has turned it down. Rightfully so, because she's a smart businesswoman. Sometimes you don't need to involve yourself in everything and everybody just to get your point across, okay? Tory, enough, babes, okay? I don't know. Maybe Savannah will be his white savior, his white hope, and get him up out of there. But to me, enough is enough. And you're going to have to break off some money for her. Ooh, she's only 27 years old. Yeah, you're going to have to break off some money for Savannah. What you got going on ain't cutting it. It's too messy right now. It's too messy. Leave us alone, Tory, at this point, okay? You showed us the extra footage, the extra clips. We get it. Let your same activist people speak on your behalf. Let your team speak on your behalf. You don't need to rope and dope everybody into this to scream from the top of this hill that you're innocent. I think either people believe it or they don't. You don't need to rope everyone in because at this point it's looking like you might not be as innocent because why are you doing this? Like, why are you fighting so hard? Like, let the shit speak for itself, you know? But anyways, that was just a little side tangent. Speaking of the Chrisleys. Next up we have, again, this whole episode might just be all about Trump. Like, Trump was on fire these last 2 weeks. President Trump has barred countries for U.S. travel. And I've seen some, articles and some headlines say 12 and then some say 19. And it's because previously he had done this and there were 7. And then he came out and now it's an additional 12 added on to the 7 that he had previously done in his previous term. So the new countries, I'm just going to read them off. We have Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of Congo, Guinea, what is this? Atrisha, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia. I think that was, then it was, hold on, let me see. Yemen. So then there were the other 7 that were on his other list. Cool. How did we get here? Because I was like, okay, this just came out of left field. It felt like, to me, it came out of left field, but I guess he had spoke about this back when he, that first day was signing all those bills, and now it's come to actually kind of taking place, because prior they said, I've read in different articles that in 2017 he did it and it was just like, boom, done. And people were like, wait, like, I'm traveling in real time. I'm in real time, I'm in these countries, whether I was on business, right? You might have a journalist over in Iran and you're like, hey, nope. You might have a journalist over in, what was one of them? Yemen, right? Like, you might have someone on business visiting family and just, you drop the hammer and say, nope, people are barred. And now people are like, wait, so can I come home? Like, I was just trying to go see my niece that was born, and now you're saying I'm barred from. So he took a little bit more time this time to kind of like roll this out, which makes sense as opposed to how he did it back in, I want to say 2017. So how he got to these new places, because I was like, whoa, is he pulling these out of a hat? It was a report, well, I guess a few reports, but a report that was conducted on people who have hostile attitudes toward the United States. People who have these, when I say people, it's just like a general summation of people in these countries, right? They have hostile attitudes towards the United States. That's something that he took into consideration when picking these next 12. Also a report of visas overstays of tourists, business visitor, and students who have arrived by air and sea. So basically, if you came here and you spent a little too much time, he was like, yeah, nah, let's put them at top of the list, because why are y'all staying here so long? And then there was just a breakdown of like why some of the countries are on the list. So number 1, Haiti. I was not shocked to see Haiti on the list, because I just know Haiti is going through a lot right now, right? So it says Haiti was included for high overstay rates and large numbers who came to the U.S. illegally, of course, especially like down around Florida and stuff like that. So that to me made sense. Not saying it's right or wrong. I just know that it made sense, right? So if you're in Haiti, you get on a work visa or a student visa or whatever type of visa, and then you're staying past that time, that's the reason why, right? Because they don't want to go back to their country. And then it says other Mideast nations on the list, all facing ongoing civil strife and territory, which made sense. So like Sudan has an active war. That's why they were previously on the list. Yemen's war is largely stalemated, but it's still, obviously, there's some strife. So they're on the list. And then the Libyan forces remain armed. So they were on the list. They were included in that previous 7. However, this is where it gets just really annoying for me. There are international aid groups and refugee settlement organizations that condemn the ban because they say that it's vilifying communities seeking safety and opportunity in the United States. Here's my thing. Why is it only, and I know this is going to sound so bad and so not politically correct, but sometimes people just have to ask the questions. Why is it only the United States that has to be a refugee aid type of country. No other country that I see, please, if you know of a country, let me know. But it seems that the United States is the only country where it's like everyone is like, no, you must open your doors and accept these people. I don't know of any other country that's given that like responsibility. That's what I'm looking for. No other country has really given that responsibility of like, no, you must take these people and you must be a home for these people. We cannot vilify these people who in their own country, they are dealing with all types of wars and, combat and just civil unrest. You, as the United States, you must take these people. Like, how dare you not want to take these people? I don't get why we have to hold that responsibility. And then a lot of people are saying, well, we're not saying they can't come, but let's follow the proper channels. So with this, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because yes, let's follow the proper channels, but also the proper channels can't take, to me, in my opinion, 5 to 7 years. You can't say people are overstaying their visas or whatever, but also if they're applying for citizenship, it takes years for them to get approved. Years for them to get approved. It can't be that. So if we want people to come in the right way, well, then let's make sure that our programs are strong enough and equipped enough to do it in a faster form than to just be like, yeah, it's going to take 5 to 7 years because it's just the government. The government moves slow. You know what I mean? It's a lot of bureaucracy. It's a lot of paper shuffling. It's a lot of going through this to go through that, to do this, to do that. Trust me, I see it at work and it's like you're just jumping through hoops to get something done and it just takes forever. So I think we need to strengthen that. Like if you want to do this, if you want to bar people, they can't come, whatever, you want to close the borders, shut the doors, cool, got you. But let's also strengthen our immigration policy so that when people do want to come into the country, it's much easier for them as opposed to it taking forever. Like 5 to 7 years is kind of crazy. I could see maybe a year to 3 years at most, because I'm sure they need to or they should be vetting people and making sure you're truthful and making sure, just making sure that this person can contribute to society in a positive way. They're not fleeing for no random reason. They're here for, because they want to be a productive citizen in the United States of America. I just think that makes sense. But also 5 to 7 years is just way too long. So I think all of that can be worked out, but I don't think we as the United States has to hold the responsibility of taking everyone's refugees and people who want to seek asylum and things like that. Like we shouldn't be the country that has to do that. Like we shouldn't have to bear that responsibility when there's a whole bunch of other countries. Damn, why I gotta be us? That's all I'm saying. Now, next up, this one has had the news in shambles. You already know what I'm gonna talk about. This has had the news in shambles. And I wasn't trying to look into it, but it was just there. Like, what do I do if it's just there? So Elon Musk has went on a warpath against Trump and the GOP. Man, listen, Elon is upset. Now, to me, it just seems like a little bit of a bitter breakup, right? I don't think that Elon is saying, okay, you know what, let me let me slow down and take this one step at a time. So Trump's administration, they have proposed this big, beautiful bill, if I'm not mistaken. That's what they're calling it. Why? I don't know. They're calling it the big, beautiful bill. That's what they propose. And Musk is saying it's the worst thing. He's calling it the big, ugly bill. He's saying it's the worst thing in the world. It's terrible. It's going to push us further into debt. I think he was calling it debt slavery bill or something like that. Like, he is just dogging it, okay? It is the worst thing to him. And when I was reading his Twitter posts, I'm going to just be, showing them on screen. I said, oh, okay, Okay, like I'm following, I understand. And it's crazy because a lot of people, as I'm reading and listening, a lot of people seem to have predicted this. I don't know. I just didn't see it happening because Musk was at one time known as the single biggest donor to the Republican Party with nearly $300 million donated to getting Trump elected. So if I spend that kind of money, yeah, I don't expect to fall out with you this fast into your term. I just didn't, I don't know, I just didn't expect that. Like maybe a year and a half in or but this fast in for us to be falling out and then in this way, I don't know. I didn't see it happening that fast, but it is what it is. So now that, Musk does not like this bill, he's calling it the big ugly bill. He's not into it. He's taking it back to a classic Twitter feud. Now, of course, it's called X. I'm gonna call it Twitter. I've never called it X. Just not gonna do it. It's Twitter. It just is what it is, So if you remember Twitter from back in the days, right? Twitter used to be on fire with Twitter feuds, right? Like people would just go back and forth at each other, retweet this, repost that. We loved it. Requote this. We loved it. And that's what this gave. It gave very much classic Twitter feud. Elon was just going in, like basically Trump don't know what he doing. He's the worst. The cattiness of it all, it was absolutely hilarious. So on Thursday, Musk takes to Twitter. Again, I'm not calling it X. Musk takes to Twitter and he's just going at it, right? Like, and then he's retweeting people that agree with him. That's so funny when people retweet only the people that agree with them. I always find that funny. But anyways, I digress. So yeah, he's, going in. And a lot of people were speculating, which I also agree with, that Elon was so upset because a lot of the proposed cuts were for things that Elon Musk is a part of, right? So we had electric vehicles and you have like SpaceX and all these different things. And then his thing was, no. I'm not mad about that. I'm just mad because this is the worst bill possible. And he made statements of, stop the government from overspending and the waste and the output of real useful goods and services exceeds the increased money and supply. The government is competing to sell debt with the private citizens. This drives up the interest rate. So he's saying all these things and you're like, yeah, I agree. But then when I hear Trump speak, I'm like, oh, okay. Now, according to Trump, he says that Elon knew about this and this wasn't some shock to Elon. Let's just listen to what Trump says, okay? Let's hear him out.
But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate because that's billions and billions of dollars. And it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have we want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, it became a little bit different. And I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody. And he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape, he said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
So now it's interesting, right? Because in my eyes, I do believe that Elon didn't anticipate spending nearly $300 million and then Trump coming back and dismantling things that Elon was a part of or that he was passionate about. This bill proposes that the national standards for autonomous vehicles be handled by the state rather than by the feds, right? And that goes against what Elon wants, right? He wants it to be a federal standard as opposed to this, state by state. They can decide how, these electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles work, or, if there's any type of benefit or, anything like that. This bill is pushing to abolish, which I did not know, pushing to abolish tax breaks for electric vehicle purchases. So if you buy an electric vehicle, you get a tax break. I think it was $7,500. I read that was either Political News or AP News. Pretty sure it's Politico. It was, but it was $7,500. You get a $7,500 tax break. So of course now, right? If you're buying a Tesla, you're like, oh, that's lit for me, right? Like, but now they're looking to cut that. And then the GOP mega bill, also the big beautiful bill, also threatens to deliver a quick death to tax incentives that are crucial for Tesla's solar energy. So all of that, I feel like Elon went in thinking that it was going to help and protect. That went out the window. And I think that's what really upset him. And then he became petty. And now he's like, oh, no, it has nothing to do with that. Oh, that's totally fine. Oh, no, I don't care about that. I really care about the people. And I care about the debt. And I care about the way the government is spending our money and how they're overspending it. Elon, stop. You were having so much fun, having the cheese on your head, pulling up with chainsaws, all down in the Oval Office, out of, just looking raggedy. Like you were just having a good old time, and they pulled the wool over your eyes. They took your money. They said thank you. They let you show your booty a little bit, and then they said, okay, now's the time. And they dropped a bomb in your lap. Okay, and now you're acting out. You're acting out, babes. Like, we get it. You're upset. Rightfully so. Hey, if I pour 300 million into you, I don't expect that you're then going to shit on everything that is, means something to me, that I'm passionate about. I don't expect that. I don't expect that my $300 million doesn't buy me, at least at the bare minimum, keeping my, my business afloat. Like, you're harming my business, the same business that got you that 300 million. That's the business you're harming. Oh yeah, no. I'm definitely going to get on the platform that I own, formerly known as Twitter. I'm definitely going to get on my platform and talk shit all day long. As a billionaire, yeah. I'm going to get on my platform and talk shit. Yeah. All day long. Trump had his things, he was firing back, saying what he felt and how he felt, but no, like, he's heartbroken. I give you all that money, you do what? You say what? Come on, we can't do that. Not that. So yeah, I completely understand Elon. They played right in your face. And that is so not fair. That's not fair. So yeah, I'm not a fan of Elon Musk, but I do understand the petty anger and the lashing out. I totally understand that. I don't think this fallout was supposed to happen this fast. I do think it was bubbling. A lot of things were happening. I think it was bubbling. They let him show out. They let him show his booty all over the places. But yeah, shit happens. Shit happens, Elon. You gotta just roll with the punches. They played, though. They surely did take your money. You got him in that office. And they do what they do, It's unfair, but shit happens. So, next up, this one is going to be a little, I don't want to say sensitive, but it kind of ties into what I was speaking about previously with, immigration and how we handle illegal immigrants and undocumented people, and then our responsibility to them. Okay. So Kilmar Abrego Garcia, he has been returned to the United States, and then he was subsequently charged with transporting people into the country illegally. So let's back up and let's run down the history, and then we'll kind of fast forward to this, what just recently happened, right? So Kilmar Garcia was the reports say mistakenly. Do I believe mistakenly? No. The reports say that he was mistakenly deported by ICE March 15th to El Salvador. When he got to El Salvador, he went to the most notorious prison in El Salvador. And ever since, right, they've been trying to get him back to the United States. Trump's administration, because of course, this is Trump rolling out ICE in full force, right? They did admit there was a mistake. There was an administrative error in him being deported. Now, why, right? Why was there an administrative order? Well, back in 2019, there was an immigration court order that barred the U.S. from sending Garcia over to El Salvador because he was at risk of being targeted by local gangs. Let me slow that down for you. It's funny because it's like these are the reasons why they're so big on ICE and deportation and things like that. But then also the Democrats are like, but let's protect them. What? Anyways, so Kilmar Garcia, he was mistakenly deported to El Salvador's most notorious prison March 15th. The Democrats and all they people, the family, outrage, protesting, doing it all to get Kilmar Garcia back to the United States because there was this 2019 immigration order that said, hey, we can't send him back to El Salvador because he's in danger and there are gangs there waiting for him. So it is the United States, like I said, responsibility to hold him down and keep him here. Huh? Yeah. That was that. Cool. So now, I think it was just recently, right? In June, he's been returned. He's back. Beautiful. In May of this year, because remember, March, now in May of this year, Kilmar Garcia was secretly indicted by a federal grand jury in Nashville on 2 felony charges, and that was for transporting undocumented immigrants and conspiring with other people to transport these undocumented immigrants. So quickly, I'm just going to play the traffic stop clip. It's a news clip, and it'll just kind of give you an understanding of what took place in order for him to have this immigration order and yada, yada, yada. So, yeah.
This is a long video. It's about an hour. And if you watch all of it, you see the tone stays friendly from the start when Abrego Garcia gets out of the car. In fact, some might question what this video proves. So let's walk through what happened. Troopers in Tennessee pulled over Abrego Garcia for speeding 75 in a 65 along I-40. He was driving an SUV with about 8 other men inside.
So where are you guys coming from right now? Where are you coming from?
From San Luis. So I work in San Luis. So right now, finished. That place finished. So I go back to the house of Maryland. Next week, I go maybe tonight with the other project.
I thought you was going to Missouri.
The next project, I told you, the next project next week.
Abrego Garcia tells the trooper he's driving fellow construction workers from Houston to St. Louis back to Maryland.
So nothing illegal?
No, sir.
But another trooper later suggests he might be transporting undocumented immigrants for money. He pointed out the men had no luggage and Abrego Garcia had $1,400 in cash. The trooper ran his name. Then federal officials told Tennessee State Police there was no need to detain him. Instead, he was warned for driving with an expired license and let go. He was never arrested or charged.
Stay right there. I'm gonna get my dog out, okay?
This video, the latest attempt by the Trump administration to make their case that Abrigo Garcia deserved to be deported, despite the DOJ admitting his deportation was a mistake. President Trump continuing to claim Abrigo Garcia is tied to MS-13, but the government has not shared any evidence on that. A federal judge has ordered his return. The executive branch has said they can't, and the deportation is within their authority. Now, the legislative branch is pushing back. 4 Democratic senators are introducing a resolution that could force the Trump administration to offer answers into the deportation of people to El Salvador.
Okay. Now this week, right? The indictment was unsealed by the Trump administration, and they also acknowledged that Kilmar Garcia was in U.S. custody. So that traffic stop happened in 2022. He had this immigration order from 2019. To me, it just seems like he was already on their radar. They already kind of had an idea, because in that traffic stop, they also just let him go. No issue. They were just like, oh, okay, have a good day. So I feel as though, but then also he was indicted. Listen, I feel as though he was already on the radar. I think they already know the people who are bringing in illegal immigrants in droves. Like, they just know, like, they have it on their radar. They know. And then they wait to act, right? And I think because Trump came in, and mind you, there have been other people. It's not like Kilmar Garcia is the only one who was just mistakenly deported or was scooped up and he was, doing this illegal transporting. No, there have been a bunch of other people. So I think they knew, and they were like, pull that list out. Cool, go and get them. Like, they had the list. They're like, who? Okay, great. Go send ICE and pick them up. And then they got mistakenly deported. That's what I think. I just think this guy had this unique situation where he couldn't be sent back to El Salvador. But I don't understand. I should have looked up what brought about this 2019 immigration court order that wouldn't send him back to El Salvador. But I just get so confused again as to why all of this is always our responsibility. Why do we need to keep him here if there are, mind you, he's only 30. If there are gangs in El Salvador ready to take his head off, what do we need to keep him here for? Like, why are we his safe haven? I don't too much understand. I also don't understand the outrage. Again, maybe I'm ignorant to it and you guys can fill me in. But to say that we must protect someone else's criminal is just kind of crazy to me. And then on top of that, he was in this traffic stop. He was in a van with 9 other undocumented people. So it's not like he's bringing 1 or 2 people. Maybe it's his cousin and them. You know what I'm saying? Like a cousin and an uncle. No, like, he is bringing people over in droves. And then also, I hate to say this, but like, it grinds my gears, and God, please forgive me, but it really grinds my gears. Whenever I hate to say this, but I have to. I just have to. Whenever, and then I'll jump back into the story. Listen, whenever you talk to someone who they could be a citizen, but they're of a different nationality, I guess, right? And they speak another language, like their second or third language is English, and they speak another language. Whenever there's an issue or, it comes to being around authority or, questioning if they're doing something wrong, all of a sudden the English they know goes out the window and no one knows how to speak English. All of a sudden, no one can understand English. All of a sudden, it's like they've never even had to speak English. And it is infuriating because what happens is, and I find this a lot, especially, I think maybe because, I hate to say this, but like, if I'm going to receive services. That's the way I'll say it. When I'm going to receive services and there's an issue, all of a sudden don't nobody know how to speak English. And what? Who? What? All of a sudden don't nobody know how to speak English. All of a sudden. But let me receive services and pay you wrong or not pay you or short you, and all of a sudden you know how to articulate yourself completely in English. All of a sudden your English is good as hell. But when it's on the reverse, you don't know how to speak English. I don't know if anyone else picks up on that, but let me tell you something. That grinds my gears so bad. Because the thing is they want to frustrate you enough to just be like, forget it. You know what I mean? Like, it's obvious you want to frustrate people till they say, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. It's okay. Right? They feign ignorance to get out of situations. And I've gotten to a point, this is America, baby. We speak English. So we're going to figure this out together. If I got to write it down, if I got to put it in my phone, if I got to do Google Translate, we're going to figure this out. Don't think I'm going to walk away because you want to feign ignorance all of a sudden, act like you don't understand English. Oh, no. We're going to get this figured out, because that must stop. They get into this traffic stop, and then all of a sudden, no word is English, and it's all these bits and pieces and half words, and all of a sudden you don't know. But you've been here for how long? Come on. I've seen it, and I know y'all have too. You know what I'm saying? You down at the deli trying to get something, and because it's busy, all of a sudden they don't know how to speak English. They just gonna give you what they want. No, I said a half pound of ham. Why are you handing me this pound and a half of turkey? That's not what I said. All of a sudden, Get? Come on. What? Like, stop playing with me, okay? Because I will sit here all day till we get this figured out. I will. I promise. I will sit here all day. And all of a sudden, you know how to comprehend. I bet. I digress, though. I had to get that up off my spirit. Because when I was watching that video, I said, why do y'all do that? Like, as immigrants, why do y'all immediately just feign ignorance? And sometimes y'all be citizens. Be full-on citizens. But soon as it becomes a little complicated and you don't want to deal with it, you feign ignorance and you don't know how to speak English. Stop playing at people's face. Stop playing at people's face, because they're going to start calling y'all bluff, and we're going to start learning y'all language. All of a sudden, you will only speak Spanish. I'm going to start speaking Spanish to you. I'm going to start speaking Spanish in a second. I'm going to start speaking Spanish. And then it's no confusion, baby. It's no confusion. You understand it. I understand. Now what? But I digress. Let's get back to the story. I'm sorry. That irritates me so bad. It irritates me so bad. Fuck it. I'll say it. When I'm getting my nails done and I'm asking you to do something, or I'm saying I need a color, and because it might be a little too much work, all of a sudden you don't understand. All of a sudden, oh no, I don't know. Well, I don't know nothing about that price. All of a sudden my card don't work. I don't know. My tip, it just went down because you don't understand. Anyways, moving on. Get back to the topic at hand. This is just an interesting case. I will probably follow this one a little closely, because it's a lot of moving parts. It seemed like a lot of games were being played and deporting certain people. Now, if he has a court order in place to not be deported, then he shouldn't be deported. But the Democrats are like, we need to look into all people that were deported because maybe they shouldn't have been, or maybe, they have these court orders or this and that. And it's like, if you were here illegal and we sent you back to where you come from, why we gotta spend all this money? Because all it is taxpayer money. Why we gotta spend all our taxpayer money to discover something? He had a court order. If they have a court order and that's what the court said, then you uphold what the court say. But if they ain't got no court order and they just went back to Mexico, they went back to where they, Venezuela, wherever they from, then it is what it is. Like, it just is what it is. I don't too much know why we need to focus on getting people back that came here illegally. I don't know. That's just confusing to me. I really want to know now what this 2019 immigration court order was about. Like, that seems a little fishy to me, but it is what it is. It seems like he got this court order for protection, and then, you know, he knew and was like, I'm gonna run it up. You know, like I'm I'm about to start transporting people, getting people, and they can't send me back to El Salvador. I can just make money. Like, sound like he hit a lick to me, if I'm just being honest. And then we have the Attorney General. Her name was Pam Bondi. So she states that Kilmore Garcia was a smuggler of humans and children and women. Thousands of illegal aliens were smuggled. I just thought that was funny because it's like, girl, like, is it wrong to smuggle people into the country? Yes. But do we got to act like he was like fucking Pablo Escobar? No. You know, like, don't try to make it out to be out for him to be like Pablo Escobar. What we really need to understand is this 2019 court order and why he got that type of protection. That damn near sounded like immunity to me. Like, that's a little crazy. But yeah, I just found that interesting. I found it interesting that both sides are playing this, you know, send the criminals back, but the Democrats are like, wait, let's not. Let's try to protect them because maybe in their country, you know, it's worse for them. I don't know what that has to do with us, but that's their stance. Their stance is it's our responsibility to protect these people. My stance is it is not. It is not. Absolutely not. I don't know why we need to take on that. I don't get it. I don't know. Y'all can tell me in the comments why we should take on that responsibility. I don't understand us taking on that responsibility, but maybe y'all do, and y'all could provide an answer that makes sense to me. I don't know. Maybe. But with that being said, that's all I got for y'all. I did not intend for this to be a long episode, but I don't know. I just feel like we was kicking it. We was having a good time. Of course, as always, share your comments. Let me know what you think. But if you feel like I'm going to argue with you, debate with you, I'm not. Let's keep it respectful, okay? All respectful comments, opinions, it's all appreciated. I love a good discourse. But if you think you want to debate me and go back and forth, baby, it's never happening. Never happening, okay? You could take that up with your grandma, sit and talk to her and give her all your thoughts and opinions, because this girl over here, I'm not finna do that with you, okay? Thank you. And with that being said, I'll see y'all maybe next week. I don't know. It's turning up in the politics world, so I do believe more things are gonna happen, and we're gonna be right here, same time, same place, discussing some more craziness, okay? I don't know what Trump got up his sleeve. I don't know what Elon has up his sleeve, but something is coming. And also, if you made it this far, tell me who y'all got for the NBA championships. We're in the finals. I had the Knicks. The Knicks were knocked out, so I will be going for Tyrese. I do want to see Halliburton take it home. That seems to be an unpopular opinion, but I don't know. I say go Pacers. So let me know who you guys have for the NBA Finals. And other than that, of course, it's Brittany Monet. I am here for you each and every Sunday to talk all things politics and pop culture. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.